Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. How is everybody doing? It's tough, I know it is. I know it's a tough moment. I know it's a very dark moment. I know that this is probably the lowest and weakest team that has ever played in the history of this club. I understand this, but we have to move forward. We have to fight through the moments of sunshine, but also through the moments of tempests and darkness. And that's why I'm here. Juric sacking is imminent. I've been saying this for the past week. This man got sacked in Florence and for the past 2 weeks has literally survived by being a dead man walking. He knows that he's gonna get sacked. The players know that he's gonna get sacked. And ultimately, when these are the consequences, these are the results. The moment to sack him was after that 5-1 defeat. We decided to stick with him, to not give victory to the group of people which fought against him and wanted him sacked. But the results aren't improving. The situation, in fact, is not improving. It's getting worse every single game, which is why after the Bologna game, the sacking will arrive and it will be imminent, regardless of whether we win or not on Sunday. The Fredkins will arrive in Rome tomorrow morning. Now, we know it. You know, when the Fredkins arrive in Rome, it means that it's a very delicate moment. It means that they are here to make decisions and some very big decisions and to communicate these decisions to the team and the manager and ultimately to us fans. I would be very curious to see if these owners present themselves on Sunday at the stadium. But they're planning on arriving tomorrow with their private jets and then, of course, having a very long day of communications. He won't get sacked before the Bologna game. At least that's not what I expect. But I also do expect him gone, regardless of the result on Sunday. Sunday's result will only be an optical illusion. Sunday's result, whether it's a win, a draw or a loss, changes nothing, because after the Bologna game, you need to play against Napoli, Spurs and Atalanta consecutively, which means that the situation can get worse and worse and worse. So, you know, the changing of managers is going to happen. A lot of people are saying that Roberto Mancini is leading the race and that Roberto Mancini will be Roma's new manager and he's in pole position. And look, I think Mancini as new manager, of course the rumours have had it today. The rumours today is that Mancini is leading the race to become Euro manager. And of course we're here to react to this. Well, you know, I think it's a very big debate. I think it's a very big debate because I think it's yet another topic which will further divide this fan base, which is very, very toxic. I truly believe that the appointment of Roberto Mancini, partially due to the fact that he was a Lazio legend, will not go down very well in the stomach of many Roma fans, especially the most traditionalist and the most traditionalist. You know, appointing a manager who has been a Lazio legend, who not only was a Lazio player but won the league with Lazio, was a very good player with Lazio, kind of robbed us of a league title with Lazio in 2008. You know, I'm gonna touch on the concept of Romanism in this live stream a lot because I need to, and I feel like I am in a position to the people which are Roman and who were born in Rome. You will understand this concept, but for the people who might support Roma from outside of Rome, outside of Italy and other countries, I understand that it's a concept that might not look as if it's vitally important, but trust me, it is. I've got a lot to say. First of all, controversial says Simo Rolati herself, if he scraps a win this weekend, he stays. I disagree. I fully disagree. I think his future is marked. I think this man knew that he was gonna get sacked the moment after he lost that game against Fiorentina. But a mix between the fact that no one accepted the job and that we did not appoint anybody else made him stay. But he's gone. Like in my eyes, after that game, he was sacked and he is sacked. I might be wrong, of course, I don't work at Roma, but my opinion, and I'm not lying to myself, is that regardless of Sundays when he's going to get sacked, that's what many people are saying. Many people who work around Trigoria and the Roma environment are saying that he is going to get sacked regardless of Sunday's result. And the fact that the Fredkins are going to land in Rome tomorrow and be in Rome this weekend is a very important thing to consider. Before getting into this stream, of course, I invite everybody to hit the like. Let me know your thoughts on Mancini and on the Euro situation in the live chat, or if you're watching already recorded, let me know in the comments down below. If we can get 100 likes on this video, it would be great. As always, Friday, we've got a weekend to enjoy. It's tough enjoying weekends these days, but hey, this is the situation. So if you like the channel and want to see these videos continue, do hit the like. Right, Mancini. I'm gonna start off with what I was saying about this concept of Romanism. What characterizes this football club, what characterizes this fan base, what characterizes the sentiment of passion that we breathe every day is this mist in the air, is this fog in the air. It's this push that makes us represented, and it's this push which ultimately brings us and pushes us to sell out stadiums even in the worst of periods. This force that I'm talking about is Romanism. You know, people might go, what is Romanism? What do you, because it's a word that Roma fans repeat a lot. What is it? What is Romanism? Romanism is a traditionalist view of human beings, whether they're football players or people who work in the board or managers, who incarnate the same sentiment and represent the Curva Sud inside the club AS Roma. And one of the reasons as to why we've been relevant in past seasons, one of the reasons which pushes us and pushed us to reach that Europa League final, to win that Conference League trophy, to beat Barcelona 3-0, is this concept of Romanism. Because since last season, inside AS Roma, whether player, manager or board-wise, there was somebody who represented this. Many years ago, it was Francesco Totti, and Daniele De Rossi. Of course, in recent times, in my era, it's been Totti, De Rossi as manager, Ranieri as manager, Mourinho, because Mourinho isn't a Roma fan, but Mourinho perfectly understood what this concept of Romanism is. Playing with the fans, making the fans present, making the fans united with the team. Mourinho did it perfectly. Last season when Mourinho got sacked, you appointed De Rossi. This season, when you sacked Daniele De Rossi, it's the first season in many years that Romanism is absent inside this football club. And when Romanism is absent inside this football club, the fans feel betrayed, the players feel lost, because Roma is Romanism, and Romanism needs to represent Roma. One of the problems as to why our board is an incompetent board and our players are incompetent players is because nobody represents Roma like a Daniele De Rossi, a Jose Mourinho or a Francesco Totti did. Nobody has Roma in their veins in this current squad. Because De Rossi had it, but you decided to sack him. Mourinho had it and you decided to sack him. Managers which make these players understand what it means to breathe this football club. This club is a very traditionalist club. This club is a very passionate and traditionalist fan base. Which is why I always say never compare Roma to Premier League clubs. Never compare Roma to Bundesliga clubs. Never compare Roma to other Serie A clubs. Because Roma is a different reality. Roma is a complicated environment to play in. And one of the reasons that's why we are so shit right now is because Romanism is absent. And trust me when I mean this. Trust me, somebody who goes to the stadium every weekend, somebody who lives in the city of Rome, trust me, Romanism is the number one most important thing for the Curva Sud and for the Roma fans. So, having said this idea of bringing Roberto Mancini as a coach, I already know what's going to happen. Many fans will not digest this because Mancini, I'm not going to question his abilities. I'm not going to question his experience. A manager who literally went everywhere and won everywhere he went, apart from his last experience in Saudi Arabia. Won at Inter, won at Man City. Went, Italian national coach, won the Euros. He is somebody who has been in a lot of teams and has won in a lot of teams. And I am nobody here to question this. I'm nobody here to question Roberto Mancini's capabilities of being a manager. Of course, then you can argue that Mancini is a done manager, is a finished manager, and part of it I agree. Mancini isn't the manager he was the year he won the league with City with that Aguero moment. Of course he isn't that manager, but a lot of managers aren't managers that or those managers anymore. But Mancini is a Lazio legend. Mancini is somebody who lifted the league title in front of our eyes in Rome and was a very strong football player and lived his peak at Lazio. Now, of course, Mancini is a professional human being. Of course, if Mancini becomes the new Roma manager, I trust him. You know, these guys are professionals. They aren't kids who base their judgments on the teams that we support. You know, I fully agree. Mancini is a professional, and I'm convinced that if he comes to Rome, he will give it his all best despite his blue past. But what I am skeptical about is the union between fans. I and a lot of us have understood how important it is to unite the fans. We've come to notice how important it is and how delicate it is for the fans, the players, and the team to be united. Whenever we're united as a whole, we can achieve everything. But whenever we're divided, we can achieve nothing. And I have got a few doubts on whether a Lazio legend will be tolerated by the Curva Sud. You know, I've got my questions because I already know that the first mistake Mancini will make, the Curva Sud will go, well, he's a Lazio fan. He won't care. And they will start scapegoating him again and again and again, and we will be back where we belong. Now, this is the presentation that I can give on a potential Mancini arrival. On the other hand, because there's a very big on the other hand, and I think this on the other hand is also very, very, very relevant, and it needs to be clarified. If I have Roberto Mancini as my coach instead of Ivan Juric, it's a win for me. Because number one, we can't even dare compare Ivan Juric to Mancini, because as I always said, whether you like him or not, Mancini won in his career. I know that he did not qualify for the World Cup, and I agree, but in 80% of the experiences that he had, he won. So I am nobody, and we are nobody, to question Roberto Mancini, and especially to compare Roberto Mancini to the idiot that we have sitting on the bench right now. Because one manager is a winning mentality manager, knows how to win. The other manager is an absolute idiot. So, of course, it's a step up. Despite the Lazio past and all of the traditionalist views, get those outside for a second. It's an upgrade. It's only an upgrade. I would be an upgrade compared to Juric. You would be an upgrade compared to Juric. So if you sack Juric to appoint Mancini, it's an upgrade. Now again, whether he will last long, whether the fans will tolerate him, that comes secondary. But it is an improvement. Because number one, Mancini will know what he's doing. And number two, which I think is the most important thing, when you bring a manager of a certain prestige in the squad becomes more serious as well. Because when you bring somebody as their manager, replacing Daniel De Rossi, and you bring somebody who's never won anything in his career, who lacks credibility every time he speaks, the team will start teasing with him. The team will start going, this guy doesn't take us seriously. This guy's never won anything. Why do I need to make myself bossed and controlled by a manager who's never won anything in his career? So also on a mentality wise, the second you bring a manager who is more experienced, has won more, you're kind of showing the team, and the team will go, okay, I messed with Juric, I can't mess with Mancini because Mancini knows what to do. Juric has got no idea of what he's doing in Rome. So I think the way I see this, a lot of people will ask my definite answer on this. It's a very tough answer, because if you're telling me, well, let's sack Juric to appoint Mancini, then I would say yes. I would say yes, because I would also say that right now, in this specific time, Mancini is probably one of the best managers that can take this job. Of course, Mancini is not my number one pick. My number one pick, I've said it already and I will say it again, is Max Allegri, followed by Claudio Ranieri until the end of the season, and number 3, Edin Terzic, even though I think that the next manager needs to be an Italian manager. After 5th, 6th position, I would put Mancini. But Mancini is definitely better than Juric, and I've got no fear saying this. But on the other hand, it's hard to say yes, because I know this fan base too well, and I'm 19 years old, but you breathe this fan base. You understand this fan base. I am not convinced that appointing Mancini will improve the state of the fans. I am not sure if appointing Mancini will stop the boycotts at the stadium or will stop the toxicity amongst the fan base. That I'm not sure about, and that is ultimately why I think maybe another manager would be better. Of course, depends who the next manager is. If it's Frank Lampard, no, I'd rather get Mancini. But if I need to choose between Mancini and Allegri, for example, you have to appoint Allegri. Also for respect of the fans, because Chris was saying this in the fan forum today. If you sack De Rossi the 18th of September and appoint Mancini the 18th of November, you are the definition of a clown. If you sack one of Roma's biggest legend after Francesco Totti to appoint Lazio's biggest legend after Paolo Di Canio, the fans will not tolerate this. The fans will protest. The fans will make themselves loud. And I think one of the last things that we need to do right now is continue to protest. Of course, protesting is fine, but if you make these decisions, you're kind of giving petrol to these protests. You're burning these protests and you're making them bigger. And I think it's these little decisions which the Fredkins have failed to make and to successfully make in recent times. I think it's these little decisions that they have fucked up, which ultimately has brought us in this position in the first place and has destroyed the passion and the motivation of a lot of fans, because it's these little decisions which ultimately make Roma fans mad. Roma fans, and I will say it again for the last time today, we're very traditionalist. Roma fans care about tradition and Romanism more than they do about success. That's the truth. The most extremist of ultras in that Curva Sud would much rather have their team run by Romanism than winning trophies. And that's a reality that you might agree or disagree with. You have to accept. Because yes, you might disagree with it, but the Curva Sud is the heart of this football club. The Curva Sud is the spirit and the soul of this football club. So if you also tend to burn and axe the Curva Sud and don't satisfy their demands, you're gonna burn it down. And if the Curva Sud gets burnt down, Roma will officially die. The Curva Sud and us fans, who are not in the Curva Sud, are the only reason why we're still here. It's the only reason why we still have a desire of watching and tuning in Roma games every single weekend, because of us, for us. We don't deserve this. And it's all things that you need to consider. Having said this, Roberto Mancini, a proven manager, will be a huge upgrade. Gambling on Juric was obviously a huge mistake. Non mi vergogno a dire che sarei pronto a salire sul carro di Mancini qualora facesse bene. Sti cazzi della Lazio. Concordo, però è pericoloso. È pericoloso. Sicuramente è meglio di Juric, ma è pericoloso perché una bandiera della Lazio alla Curva Sud rimane qui. As far as I'm aware, Mancini cannot come back to work in Italy until next summer due to some... No, that's false. I was reading about it too, but he sorted everything out. So that's not an obstacle anymore. Roma can have Danch if you want. All the headlines say that Juric's days are numbered. Juric's days have been numbered since the Fiorentina game. I appreciate you coming on and still doing your thing even with the current state of the club. Shout out to my boy. Thank you, mate. It's an obligation. We love this club, so it would be a fool act to only support and speak about the club when we win. My man said he played Cristante because he chooses the players which allow him to win. Can't think of a bigger insult to the world. They don't even care anymore. They got Everton now. Right, I am going to catch you tomorrow with the Bologna preview. Juric's last game, I'm convinced about it. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I'm convinced that Sunday's game is Juric's last game. Fredkins will land in Rome tomorrow. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they're going to do. And most importantly, going back to this live stream, let's see who Roma's next manager will be, with everybody saying that Roberto Mancini is leading the race. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment down below. Hit the like, subscribe, follow Roma Theory on Instagram, and talk to you soon. See you.